It's year 2 for Pat Kelsey in Louisville, and the Cards are just getting started. Sophomore slump? Nah, sophomore surge.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Thursday. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, joining me at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you so much for making us your first listener watch to get your Thursday going the right way. And I want to give a special shout out to all the everydayers who are here with us, as well as everybody that's part of the Locked On College Basketball Discord. Man, that's the place to be. It is popping off right now. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Great stuff there. We are coming so close to the beginning of the season, about 2.5 weeks away at this point. Today is our 29th team preview. If you want to hear all the rest of them, we got a great playlist of all of them compiled on YouTube. You can find them there. Today, we're talking Louisville Cardinals. Nobody better to help me unpack the Cards than Mr. Dalton Pence, the great host of Locked On Louisville. So we're talking storylines and personnel, starting five predictions, record predictions, schedule, etc., etc., etc. Dalton, my man, I am very excited for this Louisville season.
You know, I was a little bit more excited before I decided to drop my camera on Monday and had to record a Tuesday show with just overlays and screenshots. Did get a new camera, but it's different than my old one, so I've got to figure out how it's going to work from a visual standpoint. So forgive me for the weak AI generated background of the KFC Yum Center, but happy to be on, Isaac. Happy to continue to collab with some work for the Louisville Cardinals, and happy for Card Nation that's in attendance. This will be posted on Locked On Louisville as well if you're tuning into this from the mother show, so to speak.
Great to have all you Cards fans here. Hopefully you're eating all your Papa John's and your KFC and everything's good. All right, Dalton, last year for the Cardinals in year one for Pat Kelsey, after having won a just combined 12 games in the previous two seasons, the Cards went 27-8, 18-2 in the ACC. Crazy stuff. Finished the regular season tied with Clemson for second, one game back of Duke. Got the 2 seed in the ACC tournament, beat Stanford and Clemson before falling to Duke in the ACC championship. Got an 8 seed, underseeded in my opinion, in the NCAA tournament. Ended up losing to Creighton in that first game. Terrence Edwards, Chucky Hepburn, essentially the two leading scorers of this team, both out the door. And Dalton, I think there's no way, I mean, obviously personnel and everyone's excited for Mikel Brown and all this, but I think we got to start with Pat Kelsey, dude, because What a great first year. What a quick turnaround. But now here's what that means. It's like you get married and then on your second anniversary, you have a blowout, you do it right. And then it's like, oh crap, I got to one up that next year. That's the boat that Pat Kelsey is in. Yeah. How is he going to improve on what he did in year one?
I'll ask you a little bit of trivia question to see if you remember the last time that we collabed at the beginning of last season. Do you remember what my record prediction was for year one under Pat Kelsey?
Based on you asking me this, I'm going to say 27-8.
21-10. It was close. And there were times throughout the year where I struggled to see that happening, especially early on when they lost 2 starters. Corin Johnson and Kason Pryor didn't play a single minute of basketball in the month of December on. And to see what Louisville did was pretty impressive. Now, they did beat up on a bad ACC, but that's something that they weren't able to do at any of the past 2+ years. And they didn't just beat up on them. They handled business, ran the table pretty much outside of that one game against Georgia Tech when they got to January and beyond. But you're right. I think that with the outkicking of your coverage and exceeding expectations year one, it does now raise the expectations a little higher for year two. And I think that it starts with what we saw from last year with depth concerns. Louisville was able to make tweaks in games. You saw Pat Kelsey really get in his X's and O's bag and just figure some things out. A lot of blowouts, and it's because they came in really well prepared for a lot of opponents. So I liked what I saw from that aspect. And we're going to continue to talk about this throughout the show. I think this current roster is so well put together. I don't think that there's one thing that's truly lacking, and I love the way that he went about adding to this roster and bringing guys back. So it starts there for a team that is ranked 11th AP poll preseason. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. This is a national championship contending team. Now, how serious of a contender? TBD, but this is probably one of the 10 to 15 teams that has a chance to cut the nets down at the end of the year.
Been 13 seasons since that last championship back in 2013.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you for not being one of those people.
Come on, what are we doing? What are we doing? Hey, did they win that basketball game and cut down all the nets? I think they did.
No,
that's your national champions of 2013. Get out of here, NCAA. I got no time for that. All right, look, you mentioned it. The Cards ranked 11th in the AP preseason poll. The ACC preseason poll came out on Tuesday of this week, and the Cards are picked second behind Duke. And here's what's wild about that to me, Dalton. I went back and looked at the previous 3 seasons. Last year, they were picked 9th. The second year, we'll just say of 23-24, they were picked 14th out of 15, and the year before 12th out of 15.
Yeah.
To see Louisville basketball being where Louisville basketball should be is great, not only for Louisville Cardinals fans, but for college basketball.
Yeah, I think college basketball is at its best when programs, not limited to, but including Louisville, are, at the top. I think that there are, of course, your blue bloods that you know of, right? Your Dukes, your Carolinas, your Kansases, Kentuckys. But when you have programs like Louisville, like Indiana, some other programs that historically they've been good, and maybe I'll say that nobody has tanked as bad as Louisville has, in my opinion. But when you see programs that have had really good decades in the past rise back to that level of prominence, I think it's good for the sport overall, because parity is what makes this sport, as beautiful as it can be, right? Because there's more parity in college basketball than maybe any other sport out there, college or professional.
And Louisville is the only team other than Duke that gets first place votes in the ACC preseason poll, getting 15 of those 49. The only team to have 2 members on the ACC first team preseason, with both Ryan Conwell coming over from Xavier and freshman Mikel Brown Jr., who, by the way, was second in the Rookie of the Year preseason voting behind, of course, Duke's Cam Boozer. Sure. And Dalton, I know we're going to talk personnel in a second, but I think the nation would kill me if I didn't ask you about Mikel Brown right here out of the gate. Obviously, this team, you talked about potential lack of depth last year. This team is so deep. But, man, this young man is so crazy talented. What is going to make him such a star and the nation learn his name quickly?
I think one thing is that he doesn't have to be a superhero, right? You watch Oklahoma with Trae Young, and I won't compare their games like apples to apples, but in what Mikel can do, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Trae Young with his vision, with just how crafty he is with the basketball. A little taller than Trae, of course, but I think with him not having to be Superman, he's got veterans around him that have shouldered the scoring load at their previous stops. He has the veterans that have returned from this program with Pryor and Javon Hadley. He's able to just go out there and be himself. And what that looks like for the Cardinals is being the engine of the offense, being able to bring the offense into its half-court sets, just being that, point guard maestro for Louisville, and being able to show what he has in his offensive repertoire, which is a lot of stuff, but he's not relied upon to go out there and say, hey, look, you got to score 20 points and give us over 5 assists a game. Like, you don't have to do that. You can, you don't have to. So it's going to take away some of that pressure, because at the end of the day, he is a freshman, right?
Yeah.
And we see the best freshmen in the country every year make mistakes. We saw Cooper Flagg make some of those mistakes early on in non-conference play last year, and a lot of that's because he had to be the guy, understandably. Mikel at times will be the guy. They will rely upon him to be the guy. It's not going to have to be a consistent thing, though, and I think that is what benefits him and Louisville, both parties, equally.
To your point, Trae Young, the only player in NCAA history to lead the nation in both points and assists in a single season.
Zero reason why they should have made the tournament, but that is a conversation for a rainy day.
It's bonkers what he was able to do. As you said, it doesn't seem like Mikel is going to have to do that. But if he is that level of capability, boy, is that going to mean massive things for the Cards. And Dalton, that's what I want to ask you about before we move on to a bigger personnel conversation, because I've been struggling with the backcourt and the guards to figure out where everyone's going to land. Because not only is it Mikel Brown coming in, you've got these 3 incoming transfers in Isaac McNeely from Virginia, Ryan Conwell from Xavier, and Adrian Woolley from Kennesaw State, plus Javon Hadley returning. I know he could play like a small ball 4, as he often did last year, but it feels like you got those 5 guys. Obviously, you can't start them, and somebody's going to have to be an odd man out. How are you messing around with those lineups? What does it look like to you?
It's a lot of 3-guard lineups. I kind of came to that conclusion very early on when Louisville got one of them, and then they got 2 of them, and then they got all 3 in the portal. And I'm like, okay, you have to run 3 guards because there's no way you can make all these guys happy. Hadley, to your point, I think is going to be more of in that 4-3 role at times. I think Colby Rogers is the other guy. Transferred in from the College of Charleston with Pat Kelsey. Yep. Missed last year rehabbing from the injury he sustained against Bama in the tournament game. He's going to be that veteran presence who might be one of the best on-ball defenders that the Cardinals have. He's a guy that Pat Kelsey loves, and Rogers is going to factor into this equation. But by the numbers, you have 5 guys competing for which I believe are 3 spots. So the good news about it is that Pat Kelsey, you didn't get to see it last year because of injuries, but going back to Winthrop, going back to Charleston, he substitutes a lot. It is a very frequently rotation, no pun intended. So you're going to see him keep guys fresh. What you really need to focus on is who are the 5 that are closing the game out at the final media timeout. Who are the 5 guys on the court for the Cardinals? Because the 5 that start, I mean, you saw it with Auburn. Tahad Pettiford was on the court at the end of the game last season when the game was on the line. Is it going to be the same thing? I would imagine Mikel and Conwell are 2 locks to start, but do you go with McNeely, who has the ACC experience? Do you go with Woolley, who has been, honestly, according to some people, just as impressive as Mikel in offseason workouts? So there's so many different ways that you can look at this, and I am just like you. How in the world is Pat Kelsey and the Louisville coaching staff going to distribute minutes in this backcourt?
It's a great problem to have, but it is a problem that Coach Kelsey and his staff are going to have to figure out ahead of this season. And what a difference a year makes construction-wise. This team is deep and ready to launch, not bringing in 14 transfers all over again. We're going to talk about that personnel. We're going to talk starting 5 and more coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Supply House, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Plus, their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects that you need to get done, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Do you need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery, man. Talk about a game changer. That is crazy stuff. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters, and boy, do they matter. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping, dedicated support make the whole process smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lowest prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. And when you use FanDuel, whether it's parlays, player props, even jumping in on the action live as it unfolds, it makes watching football even more exciting since you got a little something extra riding in on that action. So whether you're a casual fan or you're like me and you love to do a deep dive on the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. We're talking ACC basketball right now with Dalton and the Cards. How about some ACC regular season championship odds? Duke leads the way at plus 155, followed by these Louisville Cardinals at plus 220, and then a big drop off to UNC at plus 700, followed by NC State at plus 750. What are you waiting for? You want to get in on that action? Do it now. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app and get started today. Dalton, this time last year, we were talking about a team that brought in one freshman, Kenai Ruths, and 14 transfers, and that was the roster. Right. My word, when you look at this thing, what a difference a year makes. What are you making of this roster construction?
Well, I mentioned at the beginning, I am a huge fan of the way that this staff, I mean, first off, they're very methodical and calculated. It's not just a situation where the staff is so much about, well, just stockpile talent. They, of course, they do bring in talent, but they have a clear direction on how they want to build the roster. And they brought some key guys back, Javon Hadley, being able to utilize that JUCO ruling, which love to have him back as one of those veteran leaders. Case and Pryor is coming back from his injury. You've got the two redshirt guys, Kobe Rogers, Ali Khalifa, Kenai Ruths, who you just mentioned is back for his sophomore season. And then you went out into the high school ranks and got the number one point guard in the class, Mikel Brown Jr. There are worse players to go out and get to lead your offense, but the portal, 3 guys. Pat Kelsey made it known early on and to all 3 of these guys that they wanted all 3 of them. And they made it clear to each of these 3 players. It wasn't just a who's going to commit first. It's we want all 3 of you, and we can build this backcourt to where we can include you all and keep you all happy. Then you go to the international side, Sananda Defru, Muhammad Kamara, Vangela Zugris. You've got guys that maybe aren't household names because they're coming from international waters, older players that might not have the highest ceiling, although they do have high ceilings, but the floor they're going to be able to play right away, right? So it's a combination of returning production, incoming youth talent with Mikel, incoming veteran leadership, and proven Power 5 production, and then really talented international players. So I love the mixture of talent. I love the different avenues that they went down to assemble this roster. I think you're going to see this team mesh much quicker than other teams around the country because of that.
I love that the Cards have guys coming from all 4 of those avenues, returners, transfers, international, and a true high school freshman recruit. And like, that's the mix. That's the mix you're looking for to succeed in this day and age. I'm excited to see how it all comes together. You mentioned, Dalton, 5 guys back, but just a combined 77 games last year because Khalifa didn't play a 1. Case and Pryor only played 7. Kobe Rogers, none. Kenai Ruth and Javon Hadley both played 35. And 2 of the top 8 returners, or 8 top 8 scorers return, just those 2. But one of those is Pryor, who only played 7 games last year. So there's this returning thing, but not outside of Hadley and Roots, guys that played much. So I'm curious to see how that all comes together. But when I hear you talking about this, Dalton, you know, you talked about how Coach Kelsey likes to play depth and a bunch of guys. I mean, as I look at the starting 5 and then who else, it's like this team could easily go 10 or more deep and not have much, if any, drop off when the bench guys come in. I good luck figuring out how to play them all, but my goodness, dude, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of the catch, right? We're seeing how this rotation is going to be constructed. They substitute a ton. So I would imagine if you are judging based upon how he's operated historically, he'll probably play about 10 players. I can't imagine going much more than that. I mean, they only have 12. I can't imagine that they're utilizing a consistent rotation of 10 because at that point you kind of sacrifice consistency and chemistry on the court and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, being able to, and Pat Kelsey is a coach that you can tell believes that guard play wins you games, especially, you know, in March. And last year, yeah, they lost to Creighton. Creighton was, I think, underseeded as a 9 seed, a very good 9 seed as well in the Big East. But they kind of stumbled to the end. You couldn't tell because of their win-loss record, but these guys were gassed. I mean, you had Hepburn, Hadley, and Edwards playing vast majority of minutes, over 35 minutes a night. And it's like, you multiply that by however many games and it adds up. And now you're able to keep guys fresh, knock on wood, hoping that you don't have to deal with that injury bug as early as you did, especially. But I think it's going to work out in the way that the real strength is when you look to that second unit, the guard play is still going to be very strong. Right? Like if you start Mikel, Ryan Conwell, and Isaac McNeely, well, your bench, your second unit could be one of those three combined with Kobe Rogers and Adrian Woolley. So I am a firm believer that guys 6 through 10 in your rotation can honestly win you as many games as those guys 1 through 5. Because, I mean, if you don't have a drop-off in talent, or even if you do, if you don't have a drop-off in on-court production, other teams having to deal with that for 40 minutes is
it's a lot.
Extreme challenge. I mean, look at Houston last year. Look at Duke. Even though they had their top freshman, they had a really good unit off the bench. Auburn, my goodness. I mean, it just goes. Florida, the list goes on, right? Like those veteran teams had great leaders, but you look at the guys coming off the bench and how they're making winning plays. And I think that Pat Kelsey grasps that understanding. It's just now about, hey, put it into practice and let's go win some damn games.
That's a good way to say it, man. And good grief. You know, you and I were joking about this on Twitter just a little bit ago before we started recording. All three of these incoming transfers last year shot over 40% from three on more than 5 attempts a game. So high percentage, high volume. I mean, look out, because sure, maybe one of those guys is maybe Isaac McNeely, the reigning leader in the ACC 3-point percentage, is off one night. But I'm going to guarantee you that not he, Conwell, and Woolley are off on the same night, right? Like, and so it's just, there's too much potential there for things to ultimately go poorly. Dalton, so when you look at putting a starting 5 together, like, let's pin it down. And I know, as you said, and very well said, it's more about who's ending the game, who's getting starters minutes, but everybody always wants to talk starting 5. So let's do it. If you had to make a call right now today on who that starting 5 is, and personally for me, I'm having the most trouble at the 5, if I'm being honest. Yeah. How would you put that starting quintet together?
All right, talk about game 1, because it might change. A game 1, I think, because Kason Pryor is coming off of that ACL tear and he's getting cleared, but game 1, he either will be ready for in limited minutes, in my opinion, against South Carolina State, or he's going to just not play because the goal is to get him ready for Kentucky. I think your starting 5, if I had to take a guess, I would say that it's going to be Mikel Brown Jr., Ryan Conwell, because the experience, and I think because he's got the ACC experience. I'm going to go Isaac McNeely, and I think that Woolley is going to be an incredible 6-man playing just as many minutes, but I'm going to go McNeely starting. Javon Hadley, I think, is a lock to start at this point, and it's either between Sananda Frew or Ali Khalifa. I'm going to go with Frew. I've been saying that all off season, and I'm going to stick with that. I won't change up 2 weeks before the season.
Yep, that's 1 through 4. That's exactly what I had. I think McNeely's ACC experience gives him the nod over Woolley, at least to start things out. Now,
yeah.
Kind of what you said, Dalton, makes me think that as the season wears on and Kason Pryor is hopefully back into Kason Pryor form because he's a dude.
Yeah.
Would you think there would be an adjustment in that starting 5?
I think so. It would probably be in the line of the 5 spot, but then you get kind of tricky because this is where the 3-guard lineups come into play, right? Because now you all of a sudden have a minutes log jam in the front court,
right?
Because you've got guys there. So I mean, I think it's going to start that way with 3-guard lineups, and then based upon your opponent, it will change. But I do think that your best 5 and the one you should probably start out with are the 3 that I just named in the backcourt, with Hadley and Pryor as the 4-5.
Boy, I don't know how that team how well that team defends, but they are
better than you would expect.
Okay, good.
Than you would expect.
Is Ali Khalifa full go? Are we ready? Is he in and rolling? Has no limitations?
Correct. Yep. And he's chiseled now, man. He's really toned his body, and I mean, well, he's jacked now. Go look at pictures of him. I mean, it got to the point where Kentucky fans were like, "This guy wasn't hurt." Yeah, he definitely wasn't in a hospital bed with a boot on or a cast on. But hey, I mean, I guess AI is getting really unique these days. But he got chiseled to the point where people thought it was a conspiracy that he was hurt. And I'm like, that's called putting in work in the weight room. So
I just think Big Blue Nation's mad that Coach Pope couldn't bring him to Lexington instead of Louisville from BYU. So
yeah, I mean it's just rivalry banter. They've recruited a good roster too. I'm really looking forward to that early season.
That game is going to be legit. Well, you know what, Dalton? Let's turn our attention there because it is an intriguing non-con slate, followed by the ACC schedule makers doing us all a disservice. Oh, by the way, I'll explain. Plus season record projections coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda, who crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings that same level of intentionality to how they craft every model. You can really feel that incredible Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Nappa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Because with Mazda, everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling all the way to intuitive controls. And like the Louisville Cardinals, Mazda sweats every detail. Because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Let's turn our attention now to Louisville's schedule. We'll start with the non-con, where the ACC has bumped back to 18 regular season games, so that means 13 non-con games. But for Louisville, it starts with a couple fun exhibition games next Friday, October 24th, where, by the way, there is that next weekend is insane with great exhibition games. But Louisville hosting Kansas. That's going to be on ACC Network, 7:30 p.m. That is juicy. And then I love a little mid-major exhibition game playing Bucknell on the 28th. Let me just highlight some of the key non-con games, and then Dalton will get a couple reactions from you. Tuesday, Veterans Day, November 11th versus Kentucky. Boo, so early, but whatever. At least we'll get a fun non-con game. Friday, November 21st against Cincinnati, up in Cincinnati, but it's not a true road game, Heritage Bank Center. And here comes the fun slate, early December. Wednesday, December 3rd at Arkansas, ACC SEC Challenge. Then that's Saturday, December 6th versus Indiana. But it's up in Indianapolis at Gainbridge Fieldhouse where the Pacers play. Saturday, December 13th against Memphis. And then Tuesday, December 16th at Tennessee, true road game there in Knoxville. And then one of those other fun non-con games baked into the middle of conference play. We love this one because it's on February 14th against Baylor. Another almost road game, but it's at Dickies Arena there in Fort Worth. So, Dalton, here's the reaction I want to get first, and then we'll talk about the Kentucky game being so early. Mm-hmm. There's 2 true road games at Tennessee, at Arkansas, but 3 of the neutral site games, Cincinnati, Indiana, Baylor, might as well be road games because they're all in the backyard of each of those teams. So, in a way, we got 5 road games we're looking at here in non-con play against high major competition, dude. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the MO for Pat Kelsey is schedule anybody anywhere. It is a page out of the late, great Denny Crum's playbook. Denny Crum did that back in the 80s. Of course, I was born in 98, so didn't really get to see that, but of course heard all about it. And it's the point of emphasis is on those games because that's what prevented Louisville from getting a higher seed last year, because what we understand, what the ACC did not, is that it wasn't a matter of not having enough non-conference games. It's that the conference was so bad at winning those non-conference games, and Louisville had a hand in that. Granted, they dealt with injuries early on while trying to find their identity. Corin Johnson literally hurt like after the first game. Or after the second game, sorry. Kason Pryor gets hurt down in Atlantis, and you've got a Boubacar Traore who misses a good portion of the season. So not only are you trying to find your footing, but you're now without some key players. So it didn't matter that the Cardinals ran the table basically in the ACC last year because their best win was Clemson. And I do understand where the committee was coming from and saying, hey, look, you beat up on bad teams, but are you really a good team if you can't beat other good teams? And could you really argue with it? They got blown out against Tennessee, got blown out against Ole Miss. They lost to Kentucky. They lost early season to Duke, to Oklahoma. Like the list goes on. This year, you have a tough non-conference schedule. Again, I do think that they're going to be able to mesh much quicker, or hopefully they are. But again, there's so much focus, like scheduling them and having a tough strength of schedule is great. But if you don't win those games, does not matter, Isaac. So The focus is on, like you said, that pocket of 7 games: Arkansas, Tennessee, Baylor, Memphis, Kentucky, Indiana, and Cincinnati. And if you can win, in my opinion, I have them winning 4 of those games. I don't care which 4 you pick. I have them winning 4 of those games. If you go 4-3, automatically there's going to be some solid wins that are built in. So, there's a lot of focus for Louisville to be good right out of the gate.
Dalton, I have that exact same non-con record. I'm looking at 10-3 from the Cards.
Yeah.
I think that's so well put by you. I don't know that it matters. Obviously, for Louisville fans, Kentucky being a win would be massive. But
it's the one that's being circled.
Like when you zoom out to a big picture level, winning 4 of those 7 would be massive, especially when you consider that the Arkansas and Tennessee games are true road games, like we said, and then 3 of the others might as well be. Dalton, what is the sense from people about the Kentucky game being so early, the 3rd regular season game for the Cards?
You know, when Kentucky and Louisville fans are unanimous in agreement, there's an issue, or it's something really good. And unfortunately, it's the former in this situation. This is the earliest that the game has ever been played. I don't like it. It's before the football game, which means I don't like it even more. You are going to have to play them. Both teams are going to have to deal with, the early season bumps that come along with having a new roster. It is a home game for Louisville. Jaden Quayton's in that game. We'll see if he plays. I know he's coming off of the ACL recovery. Cason Pryor is as well, but his surgery was a little bit sooner. So I think that both teams are dealing with, I won't call them issues. I think that they're challenges. Both are well coached. Both have good rosters. They are contrastingly different rosters. Really looking forward to seeing how they play against each other. But as far as when the game is, I hate it, brother. It needs to be December 20th, December 21st, 22nd, like it usually is. I wouldn't even hate it if you pushed it back to mid-February. I think that you can make a case for that versus having it even earlier, because it's like I'd rather see these 2 teams play each other when they've clicked on the court, so to speak, and at their best, and hopefully at their healthiest.
And exactly, because then that gives Pryor more time to heal. That gives Quaint, because I don't think Quaintance is playing in this game. I hate that, dude. I want to see.
That's a quick recovery, man. And I know that there's optimism from Kentucky's side. I view it as gamesmanship. Yeah. And look, I'm one of those people to where, regardless of the situation, I think rushing players back from injury can only, it's a detriment. The harm pales, or I'm sorry, the benefit pales in comparison to the drawback. So, you're thinking of his longevity. For Louisville, not having to go against JQ would be awesome, but I don't want to play a JQ that's possibly going to get re-injured, because I don't want that for his season or his career.
No. And for Kentucky, it's tough because you look at it, it's like, man, it's Louisville, right? But you've got
you got to think about the athlete. I don't know. ACL recoveries have become more and more advanced.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does play and he doesn't have any limitations, but we'll see, man. I'll believe it when I see it. Let's put it that way.
Let's move on to the ACC schedule. A fun start. Louisville's first 2 games are out on the road in Northern California, at Cal and at Stanford, December 30th and January 2nd. But then, Dalton, we get to the weirdness, because come back and immediately host Duke. Fine, whatever. But then 20 days later, go to Durham and play at Duke. The ACC schedule makers did us all a massive disservice here by having 2 of Louisville's first 8 ACC games are playing Duke. These are the top 2 teams in the preseason ACC poll.
This should be
why on earth are we not? Why are we?
One of these should be a March game.
Yes, we need these to be a February and a March. Let everybody get football over with and then give us these games. It is dumb that these games are both in the month of January. What are we doing?
Yeah, I think that this schedule, and I've gone on record saying that I think that the ACC is better top to bottom. I don't know how much better. I think that the bottom feeders, there will be some of them that kind of come up from the cellar. But I don't think that as a whole it's going to be top heavy. Like, I think you have Louisville and Duke, and then outside of that is NC State this year's Clemson, because Clemson's going to fall off. Is North Carolina going to be able to sort of bounce back from their rough start to the year last year? Maybe. I think Louisville and Duke are your clear-cut top 2 teams, and then after that, you're just kind of hoping that a team or multiple teams can rise up, because Louisville and Duke and even Carolina, to an extent, they need the ACC to be good, because the reputation of the conference hurts them. So I don't think, judging based upon the schedule, the placement of Duke is interesting. I wish they would be more spread out in the games, but there's not a pocket of this schedule like last year. January was challenging. This year, it's like, just handle business, right? I mean, I don't think that there's like a totally daunting 5-game stretch.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I noted is Louisville playing at SMU on February 17th. That's just like 3 days after the game in Fort Worth against Baylor. I'm assuming that the Cards are just going to stay in the Dallas Metroplex. No point in coming home for just a couple days to fly right back. So that'll be interesting to see. Closing, by the way, with 4 of the final 6 on the road at SMU, at UNC, at Clemson, at Miami. So it'll be an interesting closing stretch. Just wish at least one of those Duke games again was in there. Dalton, when it's all said and done, you said 3 non-con losses. How many conference losses are you seeing, and where does Louisville finish in the ACC standings?
I think they finished number 1. People will tell you that follow Locked on Louisville, and I hate that it's like this, but they view me as a pessimist. I think partially because I don't drink the Kool-Aid as much. Like I try not to wear as red tinted glasses as I can. And maybe that's shame on me. Maybe I should. But I'm fully bought in on this team. Like I think this team is going to be really, really good. These guards are going to win a good amount of games for this team. I think that both teams have their uncertainty with new rosters, but I think that Duke has more uncertainty because not only do you have to have the freshmen play really well, you've got some other role players from last year that kind of have to rise into a stardom level type role, top role player type situation. So I think Louisville wins the ACC. I think it's very close. I think Duke's going to be good for the record. For me, I'm going to go 15-3 in conference play. Now, here's the thing.
We are aligned on both of these.
I think you could, if you want to pitch to me 2 non-conference losses and 4 conference losses, or 4 non-conference, I think they get to 25-6. I think that that's the number that I've set on last year. It was 21-10. I think that their schedule is better this year. They're going to win more games, but you lose 10 games. There's only so much realistic room for improvement. I think it's 25-6 is what's in the cards, pun intended, for the Cards.
I'm a wordsmith, man. I love it. I'm here for it. No, funny. I had literally the exact same record. I think 15-3, but because it's a better ACC, that's good enough to win the conference. I'm right with you, Dalton. Yeah. I think the experience, the depth, the talent, it's going to be a fight with Duke, but I do have the Cards coming out on top when it's all said and done. Dalton, last projection here. NCAA tournament. What's the seed? How far are they going?
This is always the toughest because, like I said, there's so much parity in college basketball, and that's what makes it so beautiful as a sport, right?
How about set it this way? What's your expectation for the seed, and what's like the baseline for where they make it?
I mean, I think that the expectation, bare minimum, has to be second weekend. I think anything under the second weekend is going to be a failure of a season, unless they just absolutely get decimated by injuries, and then it makes sense. But 25-6 with winning 4 of those 7, I think that not only do you check off the wins boxes, people perceive you as a good team early on in the season, something that didn't happen last year, and I think it hurt the Cardinals on Selection Sunday. I think that 25-6 is going to get you on that 2-seed line. You don't have the SEC name, and you might not have the quad 1 wins that SEC teams do. Maybe the same thing with Big 12, Big 10, ACC. You're kind of at a disadvantage. I think that you get a 2-seed. My projection, and just because I have a problem like automatically predicting Final Four, I'm going to take a cop out, and I'm going to say at least a second weekend. I think realistically, if they get to the Elite Eight, that's how far they go. That's a really good season for Pat Kelsey in year 2.
I don't know if you're inside my head, DP, but literally on my paper, I wrote 1 or 2 seed Elite Eight as the baseline expectation, right?
It's so hard for teams. Like there are some good teams around the country, right? And I have like my personal top level, which Purdue, St. John's, Houston, Kansas, and Houston are in. And there's one more, and I'm drawing a blank on who that is.
UConn?
Yeah, it's no, Florida.
Oh, Florida. There you go.
Florida.
Love
It wasn't. And then after that, you've got about 7 to 8 teams that I think can win it all. Louisville is in that second group. So
Yeah.
I think Elite Eight is very realistic. But when you get to that, like if they lose to Houston or Purdue or Florida in the Elite Eight, you can't say that's a bad season unless you're just a way better team, which you're.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. I would have Louisville in that second tier in the nation right now, just behind that top group. I like that assessment from you, Dalton. All right, guys, thanks so much for being with us. Great show. Great to chat cards today. Year 2 of Pat Kelsey. The revival lives on, and we're excited to see it roll into the sophomore year for Coach Kelsey. If you haven't already subscribed and checked out Locked On Louisville, make sure you go do that right now. DP's got you covered all day, every day, because it's your team every day. That's what we talk about. If you haven't joined our show, Locked On College Basketball, you can find us here, myself, co-host Andy Patton, every day as well. If you haven't joined our Discord, Locked On College Basketball Discord, that link's in the show notes. We'd love to see you in there, man. We're always having great conversations. It's a blast, and it's a mess, but we have fun. You guys, as always, apologies to the Lawyer family. Cheers to the Wild Popes. Shouts to the Mick Bruins. And until tomorrow, peace.
Go Cards.